Hi everybody, it's Colleen and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit the subscribe and the like button so you never miss another video. You know, I love to find creative ways to build a background that really supports and enhances my focal point. Today, I want to show you some of the methods that I use that really makes the process faster and fun to build your background. So let's get started.
Hi everyone, it's Colleen. I'm not doing a voiceover today. I am talking as I do the video. So if you hear any weird noises in the background, dogs barking, anything like that, that's why. But I wanted to share how I made a card recently. It was this card that I made using um, my monthly hero stencil of the month kit. And I always like to get creative when I work with the stencils and try to find unique ways to use them. And so I want to share with you the process that I went through to make this card. And then I'm actually going to do another one with you today, but change it up just a little bit. So if you look closely here, you see a whole lot going on. I'm sorry for the glare, but this sentiment's like a really shiny silver and it's kind of hard to keep the glare out. But if you look closely, you can see the heart stencils, the layering stencils, but you can also see some print in there and then a little bit of color shading in the background. So what I did with this card was I had created a background a little while ago where I just heat embossed this writing with white embossing powder on some watercolor cardstock. And then I set it aside for future use. And when I was looking for something creative to make this card, I pulled this out. So I want to show you my creative process for building up some of these backgrounds to be used at a later time before we get into the card. But let me backtrack really quick. This was a stencil of the month that I'm talking about from Hero Arts. It's basically, I'm going to try to move this light a little bit so it's not right in your face. I'm sorry for that little light that keeps showing up and glaring on you, but this is what this one is. It's 4 layers of stencils, and you get one every month if you are a member of these clubs. And I love working with stencils. I think they're a lot of fun and there's a lot you could do with them. So this is what I was talking about. But what I wanted to show you was this. This is filled with lots of goodies. So what I do is when I have some free time, you know, if work is a little slow or I don't have a lot of design commitments, I try to build up my card backgrounds. And so I have a whole huge stack of backgrounds here. There's even more in here too. And what I do is I just build these up as I'm going when I have time, because then I can pull what I want depending on the kind of card I'm making, the designs I'm using, the company I'm working with. I could pull one of these backgrounds out. This is actually a tag. And then I can use them. And several things inspire me when I'm doing these. Like for example, these cards here, these card pots were inspired by something that I had seen when I was shopping, and I thought I could duplicate that myself, and I did. I used what I saw in the shop as a model, and then I just created these backgrounds myself. It's cheaper and it's lots of fun. And I create several of them maybe in the same style at once in different colors. And this was another one where I was inspired by something I had seen when I was shopping, and I decided to duplicate it myself, and I was really happy with how that turned out. You can see I already got a sentiment on here, but I haven't really done anything with it. And this one is embossed too. So I'll do different things. Like this was done with my jelly print and a brayer. Let's see if I can, like here's the brayer I use. And I think I have a mini one in here too. Yeah, I have a mini brayer And so I'll go across the page with the brayer and different color inks. And I might use the brayer by itself, or I might use it on my jelly print or my jelly plate, and just kind of create some different looks to these backgrounds. And I just play. That's all I do is play. This was another thing that I saw recently that inspired me. Was I saw some cardstock that was for sale that was black and white, and it was just very mixed media-ish like this, very artsy. So I duplicated these myself using black and white ink. A couple of these, like this one, was embossed, and then I sanded off the raised edge of the embossing. And again, I just set these aside for future use. Here's another one where I just created a background, and then I stamped a bunch of different things on there with my mixed media stamps. Did some splatters, and then I added this embossing. I actually really love this one. I'm waiting for an opportunity to use this. And here's one I did as well where I just stamped some of the scripted stamp on the background. I like this style because it's very simple to work with, and you can really build a lot with it. And then you just have some plain ones, all kinds of colors. I'm going kind of fast, so. And some of them I've stamped some stamps, mixed media stamps on them. Some of them are not stamped. Trying to go a little further ahead because I don't feel like you want to be looking at this all the live long day. This was done on my jelly plate with no, I'm sorry, I did not use my jelly plate. This was what was called a reverse stencil technique. So rather than stenciling through the stencil, I inked up the outer part of the stencil and used it as a stamp on here, and it came out really well. Here's another one that was embossed. Here's one that's got some texture paste on it, just to add some texture. This one has it as well. This one's got a lot going on. So I have a lot. This is alcohol ink, so sometimes I'll get my alcohol inks out, and I'll just play with some backgrounds with alcohol inks. I have several of those. But this is really what I do, and you can see here's another one with the scripted background, only this time I embossed it with gold embossing powder. This is one where I used alcohol inks, but I did a little bit of a different technique on it. So I really just try to do all kinds of different backgrounds, all kinds of colors. And this one I had taken a class on with Tiffany Solorio, and she taught us about using sprays. And so I did that. And then, you know, here's just a bunch more. These are a little older. But they all serve a purpose. And so when I'm going to go in to do a card, then I look in here to see, okay, what have I got in here that I could use as a starting point? And it might be based on color, it might be based on the style, and I store all of them in this cool little container. I heard about this for the first time by Jennifer McGuire a while ago. She had these in her craft room, and I thought, these are so cute. They're like little lunch pails. And so I just store them all in here, and I pull them out when I need them. So that was the inspiration for this card, because what I had done was created some backgrounds with just white embossing powder. I either used a stamp or a stencil, embossed it with white powder on watercolor cardstock, and then I set it aside and built it from here. So what I want to do with you today is I have another one that I had done where I embossed it. This is a Hero Arts background stamp that's really pretty, and I know it's hard to see because it's embossed in white. And then I just added color. I applied some ink onto my glass media mat, added some water to it, and just took the card panel and just started tapping over the ink and slowly building color like this. And I heat set each layer. So I will ink smush, add the layer, heat it, add more, heat it, and keep building it until I've got some dimension like this of color. The reason why I heat each layer is because it really helps the colors to stand out a bit more, and it creates more depth. Whereas if you keep blending it when it's wet, you might end up with mud depending on the colors you're working with. So I have this base now too, and so I'm going to show you how I added the stencil to it. So I've got some inks that I chose to use for this. This is really fast and easy, and the reason why it's fast and easy is because I got those backgrounds set aside. And that to me helps a lot. If you like this look, then taking some time to create some backgrounds and just do a bunch of them one day will really help you when you're looking for inspiration. So I'm using my mini Misty, or I'm sorry, my Misty, because I got the sticky mat on here, and I'm going to place this right on the sticky mat. And then I'm going to pull out my stencils. And there's 4 layers to these stencils, and they're all numbered, but I think I just threw them back in. Okay, here we go. Make sure they're in the right order. Yep, okay. So now I'm just going to place the stencil and center it right over the top and kind of try to adhere it down a bit onto this sticky mat. And now you see that I have a blending brush and I have inks going from light to dark. Starting with the lightest ink, I'm going to blend color through here. And I'm not getting too heavy-handed because this is the lightest layer. So I don't want to get too heavy-handed. I want the other layers to be able to show through. And keeping in mind that because you've already got an embossed image on here, the embossed image is going to resist this ink. So you're still going to see the embossing coming through here, but you're also going to see the heart shapes. And I think that is exactly what I like about this, is that very thing. I like all the interest that you have with it. Excuse me 1 minute. I want to grab a towel so I can, a micro towel, so I can wipe off the ink, take it off, and you're going to see it's really sticky. See how you can already see those hearts popping through? But you can still see the embossing coming through it. Now you could just stop right here if you wanted to, but I'm going to keep going. This is layer 2, and basically, make sure this stays down. I just line up the second layer over the first layer. Just trying to be, that is layer 2, okay. This keeps coming off. All right, I think I got it. At least it's close enough. You know, one thing I love about mixed media is that it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect like a clean and simple card would be. So if you screw up your stencil, you're not going to notice it. So now I'm going with the second darkest color here, and I'm going to keep building the color. You could easily, because I'm wasting a lot of ink here, you could easily come in with a mini blending brush, which is probably a better idea than what I'm doing because I'm wasting a lot of ink. And here's another thought. You could ink up this entire panel and then use it as a stamp and stamp it onto another card panel if you cringe at the idea of wasting the ink. You got to get creative when it comes to mixed media and find out, you know, how do you make the most of it. I'll show you really quick what I'm talking about. Get a piece of paper, and I'm going to also add a little water. Now watch what, I don't know how this is going to turn out. So I applied water over the inked up area, and I'm just going to add it right over this. and let's see what it looks like. May not look like anything, I don't know. You could see it a little bit, but that's what I'm talking about. Now continuing on with layer 3, they line up pretty easily. So if you're worried about, you know, well, how do I figure out how this lines up? You shouldn't have too much trouble. But again, keep in mind that with mixed media, you really don't have to be very perfect about it. Now we're going to go in with the third darkest color. Continuing to add. I might try that other technique again with this ink, because this ink's a lot darker, so it might show up better. So I want you to see what I'm talking about reverse stenciling, which is a completely different technique than what I'm doing today. But you know, when you're doing mixed media, I feel like one thing leads to another thing, which leads to another thing. Look at all the layers building up. So now we're going to bring that card panel back. I'm going to spray this, and I'm going to add it right over the top. And then I'm going to see if I get better coverage. A little bit better. It's very subtle, but it's actually very cool. All right. Now you've learned something I did not plan on teaching you today, but hey, that's what this is all about. It's about playing. So now we're going to go with our last layer. Just try to adhere it down. Going with the darkest color now, which is Deep Ocean. I consulted Color Mood Board when I was doing this, and the Color Mood Board had these beautiful shades of teal and blue, ranging from light blue to a deep blue, and it was just very beautiful. So I thought that's the color combination I want to use for this one. And since I'm wasting so much ink on this background, I'm going to do the same thing with that other card panel. And now I got another card panel done for another day. You know, if I want to do some reversing here. One of the things is, because this is a dye ink, it may not adhere as well onto a card panel as like reactive ink or other inks, but you can certainly play. And now you have the idea what I mean about reverse stenciling, which is what I'm doing right here. And you can just kind of see, I mean, it's not really clear, but look at how cool that turned out. And now I have another background to use for another day. And we have this done. So now we can move this out of the way because we're done with this. We're done with our ink. I'll clear off my table so that you can see better. So now I'm ready to adhere this onto a dark background. And then we're going to add the sentiment. Now, because this is a busy panel, I mean, you could easily add more if you wanted to, but I really didn't want to do that because this is such a busy panel as it is. So I want to be careful. And I also want this background to stand out. So I really want to be careful that the background stands out, because that's the whole point. Look at how pretty that is. You can see you could see all that gorgeous texture in there from that background embossing that we did, which enhances and complements these hearts. Really pretty. So now I have the sentiment. I decided to do the Love You sentiment in black this time, along with a black background, because I felt that it would stand out a little bit better. This is a Hero Arts. This is Hero Arts stamp. It's a stamp bundle, I believe. And I will link all that in my YouTube description, in the description box below. So that if you want any of these products, you can certainly shop for them. But you could also use whatever stash you have. This isn't a video to promote anything. It's really a video just to show you how I did the technique I did. And honestly, you can just use whatever stash you have. And then I like to go over, because this is this is a shiny black. I go over it with my micro cloth and get my fingerprints off of it so that you're not seeing that when you look at the picture. Fingerprints tend to get all over this thing with mirrored cardstock. And then I finish with this propped up on some foam tape. And being that it is that time of year where, you know, we have Valentine's Day coming up in a couple weeks, and you might have birthdays coming up. You might just want to tell somebody you love them, anniversaries, anything this could be used for. And because this is done in shades of blue, this is a very neutral card. So you really could use this for a man or a woman, either way. But here we have it. This is the finished product. And I love everything that's going on with the mixed media. You have embossing, you have stenciling, you have ink blending, you have layering, you have a whole lot going on with this card. And it really wasn't hard to do at all. But I wanted to show you all the backgrounds that I had created in here so that you could get busy doing that, and it would make it that much easier when you're coming up with a card. Here's the original one too, so you can see the difference between them. And you could just see how much different color has impacting it. This one has that scripted print in the background, and this one is just a design, an abstract design. And here you have shades of red and pink with the silver sentiment, and here you have shades of teal and blue with black sentiment. And either one of these is absolutely beautiful. So I'm really excited that you joined me today, and I hope that this helped you. I'd like to do some more YouTube videos on mixed media. So if you have an idea, a technique you want to learn, something you want to know more about, a media you want to learn more about, whether it's texture paste, heat embossing, leave a comment and I will be sure to put a video together for you. So thank you so much for stopping by today, and you have a wonderful day.